Once, there lived a kind-hearted nurse named Emily. She worked at the local hospital, where she tirelessly cared for patients with unwavering compassion and dedication. Emily's life was guided by a promise she made to herself, a promise born out of gratitude and a debt of kindness owed to an elderly lady named Mrs. Thompson. Years ago, when Emily was a young child facing hardships with her family, Mrs. Thompson had been their beacon of hope. At that tender age, Emily's parents struggled to make ends meet. Her father had fallen ill, and medical bills piled up, casting a heavy shadow of financial strain over their household. They lived in a small, run-down house on the outskirts of town, barely making enough to survive. One fateful day, Emily fell terribly ill herself. Her fever spiked, and her worried parents, unable to afford a doctor's visit, reached out to Mrs. Thompson, known in their community for her kindness and generosity. Mrs. Thompson, a retired nurse, immediately rushed over and tended to Emily with utmost care. She brought medicine, offered comfort, and stayed by Emily's side until her fever subsided. Emily's health improved, but her family's financial struggles persisted. Mrs. Thompson, seeing their plight, secretly arranged for Emily's medical bills to be taken care of through anonymous donations. She ensured Emily received the necessary treatment without burdening her family further. As years passed, Emily never forgot Mrs. Thompson's selfless act of kindness. Determined to pay it forward, Emily pursued her dream of becoming a nurse. She worked hard, studied diligently, and eventually found herself working at the very hospital where Mrs. Thompson was now admitted, frail and in need of care. When Emily learned that Mrs. Thompson was among the patients, she felt an overwhelming surge of gratitude and determination. She made it her personal mission to provide the best care possible to the woman who had once saved her life. Each day, Emily spent extra time with Mrs. Thompson, offering not just medical care but also companionship and heartfelt conversations. She listened to stories from Mrs. Thompson's past, stories that echoed wisdom and warmth, filling the hospital room with an aura of nostalgia and fond memories. Despite Mrs. Thompson's declining health, Emily's presence seemed to bring her comfort and joy. Through her attentive care and unwavering support, Emily repaid the debt of kindness she owed to the elderly lady who had once rescued her in a time of need. As days turned into weeks, Mrs. Thompson's condition gradually improved, thanks in no small part to Emily's dedicated care. The bond between nurse and patient grew stronger, transcending the hospital walls. On a serene afternoon, while sitting by Mrs. Thompson's bedside, Emily held her hand gently. Mrs. Thompson looked into Emily's eyes with a heartfelt smile, her voice filled with gratitude and love as she whispered, "You've grown into a remarkable nurse, my dear Emily. I always knew you'd make a difference in this world." With those words etched into her heart, Emily realized that the truest form of repayment wasn't just in the care she provided but in the impact she made on Mrs. Thompson's life, just as Mrs. Thompson had made an indelible mark on hers. Their bond transcended time, a testament to the enduring power of kindness that flowed through generations, leaving an everlasting legacy of compassion and gratitude.